you to believe. So they don't want you to believe that God created all things. They want you to believe that God created all things by or through Jesus Christ. Everyone should have a Greek Septuagint in their Bible collection, as it received no real opposition until after Messiah's death. It's fairly well translated. I think we all know the history of that preparation, 200 BC, of that Greek manuscript. Now, Islam correctly states that the Old Testament was corrupted by the Pharisees in the first 4 centuries, and it was. There was evidence that years were altered in Scripture to confuse people over the timing of the virgin birth and the appearance of Messiah, which is what they were using as grounds from the 2nd century with Jamnia. And they couldn't make those alterations to the Septuagint, which was Greek. And throughout the Greek world, where they had a fairly good control on the Hebrew texts. They removed the name Jehovah by altering the vowels and declared that Adonai, or Lord, was to be used, and which is found in all modern translations. Now, this is so serious that they may lose their share in the world to come, as they put it. Jehovah disagrees with this policy of having his name removed from Scripture. 2 Kings 23:27, Jehovah said, I will remove Judah also out of my sight, as I removed Israel. I will reject the city which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, my name shall be there. That's a rendering from Darby. The Septuagint states that the boundaries of the nations are set by the spirit beings. Deuteronomy 31:8, when the Most High divided the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the nations according to the number of the angels of God. So these angels that were assigned responsibility to these different tribal groups, there's no such thing as races. There's only one race, the human race. Then there are family and tribal groups. And these angels, or these spirit beings, have responsibility for them. They were to ensure that they were keeping the terms of the covenant. They maintained their boundaries and the levels in there so that they can be the administrative responsibilities for that. Now, the Pharisees altered Scripture from Jamnia to make them the ones who set the boundaries. Here's the same verse written by altered by the Pharisees. Deuteronomy 31:8, when the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Well, that is a monster difference, don't you think? From the sons of God, or the angels of God, change it to the children of Israel. They believed that the 10 tribes had been eradicated, and that they, of course, then were the only inheritors of the promises to Israel, the Jews of the day, from Judah. So they have no calm about altering Scripture here. So what did Jesus Christ create? Did he create anything? The Christ created or established or made or instituted the administrative system in the spirit and physical worlds. Colossians 1:15-18, he is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation, for by him all things were created, both in heavens and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers and authorities. You see that. For by him all things were created, both in the heavens and the earth, that's the spirit and physical worlds. You can see from visible and invisible. Here's what he created. Thrones, dominions, rulers, and authorities, all things have been created by him and for him. He is before all things. That's a loaded sentence. And in him all things hold together. He is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he himself might come to have first place in everything. So in King James, how is it rendered? He who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature, for by him were all things created, that are in heaven or on earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones, dominions, principalities, or powers. All things were created by him and for him. He is before all things. By him all things consist. He is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have preeminence. So they're fairly closely rendered, but I'm sure you're picking up the key points in this. So Yahushua is the icon, a representative of the one true God. He is invisible to us, or not present, because he cannot reside with us in our state of sin. We would all die. So he's the firstborn of all creation. He is the first of the physically or human-born beings of the spirit world, for by him all things were created. The word is titzo, meaning to build or to create, or rendered either way, to build or manufacture. He created or made or built all of the administrative structure in the spirit as well as the physical realms, both in heavens and on earth, visible and invisible, not in the spirit world, which is invisible and not seen by us except by Jehovah's grace. So it's invisible to the Adamic creation. So whether thrones, so this is a chair of state having a footstool, hence kingly power or authority, metaphorically to God, the governor of the world, to the Messiah, the Christ, his partner and assistant in the divine administration. And so you're talking about a divine and a physical administrative position of authority, as the Greek term thrones is used here. So this is representing the seat of power, which judgments over the governed are made, like the seat of Moses. Dominions, meaning dominion, power, lordship, the one who possesses dominion. And this includes then the territory or the dimensions that an individual or authority exerts control or power over. So it's the individual and the territorial authority that are assigned with it. Rulers, beginning, origin, the person or thing that commences, the first person or thing in a series. A leader, an active cause, or the extremity. And you see now here you have some other rendering that's less on the list here, of the corners of a sail, or the edge, or the boundary. Part of these things is because there is a boundary to the creation, which evolutionists say there is no, that all of the physical universe has no boundary, and it has no center. And Scripture says it has a boundary, a line, outline, in which is contained and the center. So, continuing on, and powers and authority. So the power, or the power to act, and the authority. So all these things, rendered in English, are been created by him and for him. So all these seats, territory, time, because time wasn't in this list of the 4 words here correctly, but we'll see shortly how it was translated. Were established by Messiah. The time of his rule over planet Earth is approaching and will be determined by his God and Father Jehovah. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. So we would generally take that to mean that, well, he was before all things, meaning before the universe and the spirit world was created. And that's how it's presented. He was before, in time. Well, the word doesn't mean before in time. He is at the head of, or above, or in first place, not before all things in time, as we can see below, verse 18. He is also the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that he himself might come to have first place or preeminence in everything. So it's not before in time. He will have first place as its head at his second coming. Colossians 1:15. We've covered this a few times. Here's another rendering of it. Who is the image or perfect reflection of the invisible God, the first human born of every spirit being, for by